All right, for our inspection today, it's going to be a 2014 Ford Fusion Platinum Eco Boost front wheel drive in this ruby red. Really great color, pops, very shiny car. Love this look. Definitely an eye catcher. Everyone that's been driving around me in the parking lot is just breaking necks. It's so funny. Overall, this car is in really good shape. Really good shape. For a 14, I wouldn't have guessed it. I would have said closer to 2020. And mileage is decent. I did a 2025 yesterday with I had 44, almost 45,000 miles on it. So, doing great mileage wise. Honestly, I didn't find a whole lot for blemishes. A couple of the wheels have some scuffs on them. And then back here on the rear bumper, you got a little scrape along this edge here. Hard thing about plastics, if that went through the paint, it's a little bit of a different story than just touching it up like you used to. A little chip on the bumper, or not the bumper, the little tailgate there. So, but beyond that, I mean, it just looks really good. I don't see a whole lot to gripe about. I'm gonna be honest, folks. There's just not a whole lot to complain about on this exterior. Tires are pretty much brand new. Drove really good, plenty of get up and go. You did have a question about the pull to the right. I didn't feel anything outside of the torque steer. There is a small amount of pull to the right under hard braking. Keep in mind, cars on a good alignment should have a slight pull to the right, and that is for if you were to have a medical situation, you lost consciousness, you passed out, you fell asleep. It's to put you into the shoulder and bring you to a stop that way versus going into oncoming traffic and creating a whole nightmare. So really drives good. We're gonna stop here. This looks great. All right, so we're gonna go through our engine bay. This is the EcoBoost, so it's a 4-cylinder turbo. Essentially, throttle body up here, turbo back here. So your airway goes through this turbo through this tube into your turbo, compresses and cools, goes down to the front of the car through some of the piping here. It's kind of hard to see, they got it all the way down there. So that silver ring is your piping from the intercooler, and then it goes up to your throttle body. And then you have this here, this hose, and this little muffle thing. That feeds your throttle sound into the cab. So this is like all this big hose does, just so you know. This is your high pressure fuel pump, doing exactly what it says. When I start the car, I'll kind of go through that a little more. And then underneath this hose, there is your cap for the transmission. It's just a cap. They don't have like a stick in there. And then your transmission line is, or your AC line's right over it, right? So try to pull it out. See, just a cap. It's not an actual stick. I'm gonna pause while I put that back in there. It's kind of a pain. All right, hop, skip, and a jump later. Cap's back on there. This is also a vent, so it lets the transmission breathe through there. So it is a little oily, residue-y. You can see a little bit of residue there. That's normal. As the transmission gets hot, it expands, it grows, creates pressure, lets it vent. That's kind of how it goes. Trucks and stuff, it's just so far under there, you can't ever really see stuff like that. Motor mounts and everything are really healthy. These are like hydraulic fluid filled. So when they start to go, you'll notice like fluid coming out, or they'll even just start getting like cracked and poppy in there. Belts and everything check out really good. Filter. The one thing I did have a gripe about, the battery is a smaller group, as you see how much of the tray is not being utilized. Now, as long as the coil cranking amperage and everything is correct, the 600, if that's correct, that it should be okay. You just have to make sure you have the right amperages and stuff, and you can usually get away with it. But it has been replaced recently. Brake fluid is decent. Color is not too bad. It's a little dark. I usually recommend servicing it every 3 years. With lower mileage, it seems to be something that gets a little neglected. And then right now I'm going to put the camera here. I'm going to do a quick start. startup. Just bear with me. So you hear the ticking come on. Those are going to be the high pressure fuel pump pulses for your direct injection. Now you can hear it. You want to make sure you hear those little ticks. All those little tick taps, those are your injectors firing. You want to make sure those are healthy taps. If you don't hear them or they're cutting or they're going in and out, it's usually injector signs. This sounds great. So you have your fuel pump in the tank that feeds the high pressure fuel system here. I usually say try not to run these kind of cars all the way empty, just to save that pump from doing way more work than it needs to. Your fuel pump in the tank is just delivering. That is pressurizing for the direct injection to feed the turbo the correct air fuel ratio. So you want to make sure you have it when it needs it. So I usually say a quarter tank's usually when you want to try and fill these. Try not to go all the way to the light. You're just creating more demand. Aprons and everything check out really good. Crash rails down here, none of the bolts have been messed with. Everything still looks good. Both sides. All the factory pinch welds. And then even your plastics and rubbers under here look really good. So, tuck that back in there. So really good, clean engine bay. With these, the only thing I would say is if there's no history on the transmission fluid being serviced, I would definitely start with that. I believe it's every 60,000 or so for that fluid service, and you're kind of right above that. So just kind of stay on top of it. This has like an odd 1-2. It's kind of very prominent. You definitely know you just went from first to second, so something to just keep an eye on, especially when you're a lot of start and stop traffic. You're hitting that 1-2 a lot. Okay, so with the undercarriage, I just like to use this mirror to kind of help me get good angles. I start from the very front of the car looking towards the rear of the car. This lets me see if anything's been hanging down, sagging, dragging, scraping on the ground. All the plastics are in really good shape and still present. On your chin, you got a little bit of scuffs on here. These low, long front ends is pretty common, but these are actually mild from what I normally see. I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. Is a front wheel drive, so you'll kind of see all that here in just a moment. We're going to go to the corners and just show you everything. Alright, so very front corner here, we're looking at that lift point. It's in good shape, a little bit of a bend to it over time. Sometimes with the shops, when they lift those, they'll bend them because they don't put it on perfectly, or the way the arms are set up. Nothing too bad there. When they're folded over and the paint's cracked it out and rusting, that's when I get concerned. Here's going to be your control arms, your steering rack, boots and everything there. And then it does have all the skid plates and everything. And your resonator, your cat is right off the turbo in the back. You'll see that kind of on the engine bay portion. You did have something about under full throttle, how the car pulls to the right. With these cars, your transmission is on the driver's side here, right? So this axle is only about a foot long, where the other one's about 3 feet long before the CVs. And the transfer of torque through those creates that difference in steering. It's only on like front wheel drives. It's pretty common. Nothing I felt was unusual. On your lift point here, this one is bent and it's a little bit open. Now that can be a place where rust will start to formulate. It is behind the front tire, so you'll get road debris and grime and all the slush and stuff coming right up in there. You can basically seal it, coat it, close it, however you like to do it, but just keep an eye on this. In our area, that's where stuff like rust underneath cars, that's where it starts from. So we're gonna pause here, go to the other side. So stopping here in the back, you can see your frame going all the way up to the spring perch and everything. Control arm all looks good, muffler looks really good. Same story on the passenger side. And then this little butt connection here where the two seams meet, look at the close finger, not the mirror finger. See the two seams where they meet? That's where your crash bar and everything meet. All the bolts and everything look like they haven't been touched. That's good. Means it hasn't been worked on. All looks really good from the back. On the passenger rear corner now. So you still have all your plastics and everything covering the gas tank And then your fabrics up there for sound deadening are still intact. It's all good. And then on this rear lift point again, a little bit of a bend to it. That's where rust will start if it's going to over time. Keep an eye on stuff like that. Make sure after you get services and stuff like that, that doesn't ever get worse. And just keep an eye on it. Come up here to the front. So this lift point, good shape. Looks good. Body and everything. And all the fabrics for sound deadening. All looks really good. We're going to go with the interior. So I always start here at the wheel. They're pretty active these days. These are going to control this side of your information, and then these are going to control this side of your information. Phone controls volume, cruise control here, and then you do have paddle shifts on the back of the wheel. All right. This does have a lane keep button that you can turn on and off here, and it kind of just shows you that it's on right here. And then I do have all the doors open and the engine on, so just give me a second. So your cluster and everything over here, information, fuel economy, all that kind of good stuff. Seems pretty nice. And then you can actually put all your options, so like audio or navigation, whatever. I like the navigation on road trips, especially when you get into towns, because it'll give you like, hey, turn right here, instead of having to look over here. That being said, backup camera, it does have radar and it is functioning well. Map, it is on, so there's the A4 and then it goes to the A5, or not A5, A8 is our current system. It is on that, but the version is a little out of date. As you can see, the school parking lot I'm in doesn't even exist on your map currently, so we're just out in this field bopping around. So you just kind of update that. Cities are constantly growing, so that way you don't get put on a weird road or something that's not actually ideal to get you where you need to go. Climate controls all work really good. And then this does have in your climate heated seat options. Those work great. I know it's a hot day, but you feel it quick, you know. Dual temperatures work good, and all the vents are working as they need to, so you can have hot on one side, cold on the other side, however you like to do it. On this car, it does have the memory seats, which I see you guys already set up, so that's awesome. And then auto windows all the way around work incredibly. And then an electric release for the trunk there. We're gonna stop here and look from the outside in. All right, going from the very outside, I always like to check out door cards and make sure they're looking pretty good. Seals and everything down here are good. You got a little bit of wear on this one, so just keep a close eye on that. Over time, those little frays or whatever will like turn into little holes, which turn into little tears. And then you do have all-weather mats, but you have your factory mats also, so these would actually clip into that spot, and that way they won't be moving around like this. Only on this side, because obviously you don't want the driver's side pedals to get bound up or anything like that. Seats are in good shape. You get a little bit of, you know, like where like the wrinkles are kind of marks, but no cracking or anything like that for the most part. A little bit of seam wear here on the passenger, or on the driver passenger door now. Looks good. Same thing with the seats, all really good shape. Seat backs are still nice and tight. Vents are in good shape, and it does have a normal plug as well as 12 volts. This does fold out for cup holders. Everything looks good there. We'll pause, hop side. So coming in on the passenger on the rear now. Door card also in really good shape. Same with the seat backs. Carpets, when you pull these up, it's like sound of Velcro. They've probably been there the whole life. Seats are in really good shape, nice good leather, not stiff or anything like that. Power seats both sides. Bolsters and everything in good shape. And glove box has your owner's manual and some other information on there as well. And then the final thing, this door card here, pretty good shape. Honestly, the interior is really, really good shape. Overall, great inspection here. All right, so we're gonna go through the trunk real fast. Seals and everything check out really good. There is just a couple holes here, but as I was looking at them, I believe they're relief holes for pressure, because those are like perfectly cut pin holes and uniform on the sides. So definitely not really something to worry about, but it did catch my attention. I wouldn't worry about it. A little bit of scuffing on this plastic here. Overall really good. Carpet's in good shape. Now under here, floor pan's great. You always look for like the sealer, stuff like this. If it always looks like it's been redone, different color than what it should be, it's usually signs that there's been work in here, but none of that exists. Spares still in place. Your tools and everything are in the hub here, so under the wheel. It's just like a clean package kind of deal. Jacks in there and everything. Your trunk is massive. My little mirror deal over here fits long ways in here, and I could barely fit it in the whole width of a rear hatch on an SUV earlier today. So awesome trunk. Seals and everything work good. It is an electric releasing lock. Normally I would shut this, but we have a ladybug just chilling in the way and I don't want to kill it. I'm going to get that out of the way before I shut that. Lights and everything work really good. No noises, no weirdness. I always try to make sure that these harnesses are secure, because sometimes they'll get pinched when they get let go, and all of that is nice. Gonna stop here. Like I said, I didn't shut it because of ladybug. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so at this point we go through your computer on the vehicle and just scan the whole system. Basically going through all the modules, and we did have some pop up. Now, I always forget that having the doors open and trunk and hood and stuff sets codes on Fords. So I'll show you here. That one's on me. I always forget, and it freaks these cars out. This might take a second, because like Fords, when you scan them, actively goes through the modules, and you'll even hear the car like go through some processes. See, there's a horn. It's hilarious. People always just staring at you while you're trying to scan these. So just give me one sec. Try not to draw this out. Okay, as you see, we got driver door, passenger door, trunk, boot. All the doors are open. Lights, I have them on, you know. So that's on me. I wouldn't cause that concern. I didn't list any of those, obviously. I did list some of these other ones, okay? So you do have some stored codes. Basically, brake pedal switch had a stored code. There was a code for some communications, and then we have like GPS, impossible data. Driver's side door had a switch. The power steering control module had a battery voltage code. I made sure to list all these out with the codes. They're all stored. None of them are active. That's why there's no lights on. So in the engine bay portion, you'll see me talk about it. They did swap out the battery at some point. It is a smaller group battery, but as long as it's still the right cold cranking amperage and everything, it should do the job. But this has recently had a battery swap, and a lot of these codes tell me that. So going from here, we're going to go to our monitors. Alright, so with the monitors, these are all going to be system checks. Essentially, these are going through and basically measuring values that these are all supposed to look for. Green checks are all good. Gray circles, either monitors not supported, or a lot of times on newer cars, they're just something that's covered by a different monitor, just for redundancies. Next thing, I always look down here. We want to make sure the VIN on our vehicle and the VIN on the computer are the same. Becomes a thing as vehicles get older. You can swap brains and stuff, and sometimes they don't do it perfectly. That can cause issues down the line. Nothing here really causes me for concern. Just a lot of lost communication stuff and low voltage stuff on the codes, and then I obviously had all the doors and stuff open. So nothing here that really concerns me. We're gonna keep pushing forward. All right, folks, we got a nice breeze, so bear with me. I'm gonna try and be loud about it. We're on to our conclusions here. This is a gem. I'm not sure how you guys managed to find this. A 2014 with 77 or 72,000 miles, and it just looks great. I didn't find any body work. I didn't find anything odd. I mean, there's a little bit of scrapes on the lower bumper, a little bit of scrapes on the rear bumper, and a dent, but not really a dent, kind of like a chip, right? But everything else looks great. You got some curb rash, but the rims and everything look good. This car is an eye catcher, I'm telling you. Drives really good. You had a concern about the pulling to the right. As I was explaining, it's just the torque steer being a front wheel drive model. Your transmission is sitting in front of you on the driver's side. So you have about a foot axle versus a 3-foot axle. So the torque deliverance is just different. And that's just something that all front wheel drives have. Now Subarus and Audis have a center diff, so you have your engine and then the diff behind it, and then your axles are even. That's the only reason they don't really experience stuff like that. They just have a weird layout. But pretty much every front wheel drive, especially turbo cars, experiences a lot of torque steer under full throttle or pulling. Yes, the ruts in the road with the skinnier tires, anything that's 225 or skinnier, you can get caught in those ruts. The semis are so much wider, so that can have a little bit of play to it. But I went out here to this really flat area, did some brake stands, did some pulls, and it's nothing more than that torque steer. Everything else checked out really good. My one thing I would push on you guys is to get the transmission fluid inspected. There's just a breather cap for me. There's no actual stick or anything. At 72,000, I believe these fluids are 60,000 mile intervals, so definitely make sure it's been done. If it hasn't, make sure it gets done. This has a very noticeable 1-2, so as you get going first and then it shifts to second, you definitely feel it. It's very grabbed, like it grabs it very firmly. I know it's kind of more for the sport function, but it seems to be under a low throttle as well. Just something to stay on top of. Those fluids are doing a lot these days with these smart transmissions, so just make sure you stay on top of stuff like that. As well as this being a turbo engine, I would say make sure you use good fuel, make sure you use good oil, make sure you're on top of your oil changes so you don't have oil buildup or grime in the turbo. It'll affect the drain on that. And with a high pressure fuel system, so you have a fuel pump in the rear and a high pressure fuel pump on the engine that's cam driven, you want to make sure you don't run these down empty. When you floor it on a really low fuel and there's not enough fuel on demand, you can lean things out, cause some damage to the high pressure fuel pump, or just kind of, when you lean cars out, that's a problem. When they're fat or rich, that's not a problem, because then there's excess fuel to burn. When there's not enough fuel to burn, that's when problems happen. So I always like to let people know on high pressure fuel pump systems to not ever really let those go to the light, just to be safe, just to extend the life. Overall though, like I said, this car you guys got is a gem.